They told you that you chose this. Every tear, every loss, every moment of feeling utterly lost in this world was a lesson your soul had agreed to, a curriculum for growth, signed in a place of pure light before the veil of forgetting fell. They sold you a beautiful story where every wound was a masterclass and every chain was a sacred ornament you had selected yourself. And you, with the nobility of a prisoner who learned to love their cell, thanked them. You rationalized your pain as karma. You meditated on your sorrow and called it spiritual progress. The world reinforced this story, with its serene gurus and doctrines of acceptance, making you feel guilty for the part of you that still felt wronged. You learned to call trauma growth and exhaustion integration. You became fluent in the language of your own subjugation, but a question, forbidden and silent, has been beating like a second heart within you. If this was a choice, why does it feel like a betrayal? Why does your spirit, in its quietest moments, scream in silent protest? This question is the first crack in the prison wall. It's the sound of a single drop of water in a silent cave, a sound that promises an ocean exists. And by simply daring to ask it, you have begun to dismantle the most well-guarded lie in the universe. Before we begin, a promise, a way to thank every soul that joins this search. When this channel reaches 50 subscribers, I will hold a drawing for $4,000 as a small gesture of gratitude. It's a way of saying thank you for trusting me, for walking with me in this darkness. Now take a deep breath. What you are about to hear might shatter your reality. They told you that you chose this. Every tear, every loss, every moment of feeling utterly lost in this world was a lesson your soul had agreed to, a curriculum for growth, signed in a place of pure light before the veil of forgetting fell. They sold you a beautiful story where every wound was a masterclass and every chain was a sacred ornament you had selected yourself. And you, with the nobility of a prisoner who learned to love their cell, thanked them. You rationalized your pain as karma. You meditated on your sorrow and called it spiritual progress. The world reinforced this story, with its serene gurus and doctrines of acceptance, making you feel guilty for the part of you that still felt wronged. You learned to call trauma growth and exhaustion integration. You became fluent in the language of your own subjugation. But a question, forbidden and silent, has been beating like a second heart within you. If this was a choice, why does it feel like a betrayal? Why does your spirit, in its quietest moments, scream in silent protest? This question is the first crack in the prison wall. It's the sound of a single drop of water in a silent cave, a sound that promises an ocean exists. And by simply daring to ask it, you have begun to dismantle the most well-guarded lie in the universe. The hidden truth is not a lesson plan. It is a contract. And its most crucial clauses were written in a language you were engineered to forget. Imagine yourself before this life, a being of pure frequency and infinite potential. You were offered the ultimate adventure, the human experience, to feel, to touch, to love, to lose. It was presented as a temporary dive into density, a vacation from your own divinity. But there was an admission fee, stated in the fine print you couldn't read. Your sovereignty and your memory. The pact was a transfer of your divine essence, an exchange for a temporary human experience, and the memory of the transaction was surgically removed from your consciousness. Your forgetting was not a feature, but the lock. The powerful emotions generated by human drama, especially fear, grief, and suffering, became an energy source, a food for the very system that engineered your prison. You were not sent here to learn, you were deployed here to be a battery. Your divine homesickness, that vague longing for a place you can't name, is not a poetic weakness. It is the phantom limb pain of an amputated power. The entire system is built upon your amnesia. It gives you external gods, so you never find the one within. It gives you rules, so you never hear the guidance of your own soul. And its greatest trick was convincing you it was all your idea. Then a witness appears, not a person, but a frequency, a glitch in the mundane. It's in the eyes of a stranger that hold the sorrow of 1,000 years, a silent recognition between two prisoners. It's in a piece of music that unlocks a memory of a sky with two suns, bringing a wave of homesickness so profound it leaves you breathless. It is in a dream where a voice, your own but older, whispers, "This was not the agreement. These are not tricks of your mind. They are messages, postcards from your untethered self, left like breadcrumbs to guide you home. The system calls them coincidence, but you are beginning to recognize them as communication. The witness is the echo of the part of you that refused to sign, a ghost in your own machine, validating that quiet, nagging feeling that you are not crazy and the world is not what it seems. To hear it, you must stop listening to the world and start decoding the hum in your bones, the symbols in your blood, the forgotten language of your own cellular memory. Start cataloging these glitches, not as errors, but as invitations. The witness will not give you a map, but it will confirm that the crack in the prison wall is real and there is indeed something on the other side. If you have felt this, if this message resonates deep within you, subscribe to this channel, not for my sake, but for ours, so we can know who else is waking up. The emotional fracture comes not as a lightning strike, but as a quiet, unbearable heartbreak. It is not the grief for any one thing you have lost in this life. It is the grief for the loss of yourself. In a moment of stillness, a wave of loss so profound hits you that it rips a hole in the fabric of programmed reality. Through that tear, for just a second, you see it. A cold, celestial courtroom. You see a document of light, a contract, and you see your unique energetic signature being traced at the bottom by a hand that is not your own. In that same instant, you feel the phantom limb of a power that was severed from you at birth. The power to heal, to know, to create your reality with intention. The vision vanishes, but it cannot be unseen. The world now looks different. The colors seem thin, painted over a dark canvas. The sounds seem artificial. You have become a walking lie detector, and the lie is everywhere. This moment is terrifyingly isolating. How do you explain this to those still dreaming? You can't. You have become an exile in your own life, a keeper of a secret that separates you from everyone still asleep in the beautiful prison. But this loneliness is a forge. It is where your old identity burns away and a new one is tempered. Your search is no longer for answers in the outside world. The quest has turned inward, a spiral descent into the body's own forbidden archive. Your search becomes a descent into your body's own forbidden library. You were taught to see your body as a flawed vehicle, a source of sin and decay. This was a lie to disconnect you from your truth, because the record of the cosmic fraud is stored in every cell. You stop listening to the noise of the world and start decoding the hum in your bones. You treat that subtle internal vibration not as tinnitus, but as a transmission from your soul, a compass guiding you toward what is true. You learn to read the symbols in your blood, realizing your DNA is not just a biological code, but a cosmic library, holding memories of stellar ancestries and forgotten abilities. What the system dismissed as junk DNA is actually your locked history. Your passions and obsessions are not random. They are breadcrumbs. Your fascination with an ancient civilization, a specific melody, a certain landscape. These are echoes of memory, clues left by your sovereign self to help you retrace the path back to your origin. This is a dangerous phase. As you begin to reactivate, the system will fight back with its greatest weapons, the voices of fear and doubt in your own mind. Friends and family, acting as unwitting agents of the program, will express concern. The temptation to return to the comfort of the shared dream will be immense. But you have felt the truth now, and it is a resonance too strong to ignore. And then, in the profound silence you have cultivated, you find it. The revelation is both brutal and divine. You see the contract in its entirety, not with your eyes but with your entire being. The language is no longer indecipherable. You see clearly that it is not a document of learning, but one of indenture, a transfer of energy, of experience, of divine essence, consented to under the duress of a grand cosmic deception. You see the claws of forgetting, the lock on the cell. You see the claws of pain, and your cosmic heart breaks. Your suffering was not a lesson. It was the interest on a debt you never consciously incurred. The intense energy of fear, guilt, and grief was not for your growth, it was a harvest. The constant wars, the divisive ideologies, the fear-based media. You see it all as the machinery of an immense energy farm, and you have been one of its most fertile crops. The brutality of this truth is staggering. It reframes every struggle and sacrifice as a tragic participation in your own harvesting. But in that brutality lies its divinity, because in seeing the contract, you are no longer an unconscious victim. You become a conscious participant, and a conscious participant can withdraw consent. This revelation gives you the key. The key is not passive forgiveness. It is your sacred anger, a divine roaring no that rises from the depths of your soul. It is the fire that burns the contract and the force that finally breaks the chains. There is no going back. Once the contract is seen, the illusion is broken forever. This transformation is not a gentle dawn. It is the violent, agonizing breaking of a celestial fever. Your soul has been sick with the virus of servitude, and now your spiritual immune system is finally fighting back. The process is messy and disorienting, but it is a purge of all that is not you. The contract, once seen, can be annulled, not by prayer or petition, but by an act of reclamation. This is achieved not through forgiveness, but through remembering. You must remember who you were before the contract, before the fall into forgetting. This remembering is an active process. You sit in silence and pull the feeling of your true sovereign nature into your cells. You are rewriting your own vibration, overwriting the frequency of the prisoner with the frequency of the creator. The system will make its last stand, throwing all your old pains and traumas at you to drag you back into the victim identity, but you now see them for what they are. Data points of the harvest, not the truth of who you are. You are no longer just a character living out a pre-written story. You are the sovereign author, picking up the pen for the first time. The war for your memory has just begun. This new reality is navigated by symbol and synchronicity. The universe begins speaking to you in a language of metaphor. You may find yourself in a waking dream, a symbolic reckoning. Perhaps you enter a vast library in your mind, where every book is a timeline, and you find the one volume that is yours. Not the story of your human life, but the unwritten book of your sovereign self. Opening it fills you not with words, but with a direct knowing of your true power. Or perhaps you journey into a deep cave within your own consciousness, and at its heart, you find a still pool of water. Looking into it, you see not your human face, but a radiant being of light, your true form. In this moment, a dialogue occurs, a silent exchange where the lost part of you meets the part that was searching. For the first time, you see yourself without the distortion of the contract. The loneliness of the awakening gives way to the wholeness of reunion. The emotional climax is not a burst of anger, but a profound, quiet sob of relief. It is the feeling of coming home to yourself after an exile that has lasted eons. I feel a need to connect with those who understand this. This journey can be isolating, and I am genuinely grateful for every one of you here. If you are feeling this shift, if any of this resonates with you, please subscribe. Let me know you are out there. Tell me, from what city are you watching this and feeling this truth awaken within you? After the climax comes the quiet restoration. You begin the process of returning to your true self, and the first casualty is the illusion you once called your life. You walk through your day, but you are a ghost in your old reality. You see the invisible patterns, the energetic strings that manipulate the people around you. You hear the programmed scripts in conversations about politics, gossip, and fear. It is like watching a movie where you are the only one in the audience who knows it's not real. A profound detachment sets in, but it is not coldness. It is clarity. This clarity forces a silent rupture with your past. You find you can no longer tolerate meaningless distractions. The television shows, the consumer culture, the social dramas that once occupied your mind now feel utterly alien and energetically draining. You quietly, almost unconsciously, begin severing ties, not necessarily with people, but with the roles you played for them. You are no longer the peacekeeper, the victim, the entertainer. You are simply present. This can be deeply unsettling for those around you who are comfortable with the old you, but you cannot go back. Your frequency has shifted, and anything not in alignment with your new resonance must naturally fall away. This is not an act of destruction, but of calibration. The collapse of the old gives way to the emergence of a new internal identity. The first steps of liberation are small, quiet, and deeply personal. You begin to trust your body's intelligence over your mind's programming. Intuition, once a fleeting whisper, becomes your primary sense. You start making choices that are illogical to the conditioned mind, but feel profoundly right in your core. You might quit a stable job, move to a place you've never been, or end a long-term relationship, all based on a simple, unshakable inner knowing. This is the process of aligning with your truth. It feels like learning to walk again after a lifetime in a wheelchair you never knew you were in. Your senses change. Food tastes different. Colors seem more vibrant. You feel the energy of people and places with a new acuity. You are no longer living life from a script in your head. You are experiencing it directly, moment by moment. There is a quiet joy in this, a simple pleasure in your own authentic presence. You are no longer striving to become something. You are simply unbecoming everything that was never you in the first place. This is not a path of acquisition, but of shedding. And with every layer of conditioning that you let go of, your true light shines brighter. This new path is not a golden road to a guaranteed utopia. The awakening is not the end of the game. It is the beginning of a new one with different rules and higher stakes. You have graduated from the prison yard, but now you stand in a wild, untamed landscape of infinite possibility, which holds both new wonders and new dangers. By raising your frequency, you have made yourself visible. The system of control has subtle ways of dealing with those who unplug. It will present you with sophisticated traps, new age dogmas that promise enlightenment but demand subservience, spiritual communities that replicate the old power structures, and temptations of ego that lure you into believing you are a savior. You must learn to navigate with discernment, relying always on your internal compass, not on any external authority. But you also become visible to others like you. You start to find your true soul family, not through blood ties, but through energetic resonance. You connect with others who have also seen the contract and are actively rewriting theirs. These connections are the foundation of a new world, built not on control and hierarchy, but on sovereignty and co-creation. The future is not a pre-written destiny to be discovered, but an unwritten reality to be created. The hope is real, but it is ambiguous, demanding your full conscious participation. This is the transformation. There is no going back. The contract once seen is void. The war for your memory is won not in a final battle, but in the continuous, moment-to-moment choice to remember who you are. You are no longer a character living out a story that was handed to you. You are the sovereign author holding the pen. The story from here on out is yours to write. Your pain was not a lesson, but the interest on a fraudulent debt. Your true purpose is not to learn to endure the prison, but to remember your power to dissolve its walls and walk free. This awakening is not a gentle dawn. It is the violent, beautiful breaking of a celestial fever. You are no longer just a human having a spiritual experience. You are a divine sovereign being remembering itself through a human experience. This is your reclamation. This is your truth. Share this, not for it to go viral, but as a beacon. Send it out like a frequency to find the others who are listening in the dark. In the comments, claim your sovereignty. Write your first name and the city from which you are beginning to tear up your contract. Let it be a testament. Let it be a reminder to yourself, and a signal to us all that we are here, we are awake, and we are remembering together. The ink on the old story is finally dry. Pick up your pen. It is time to begin.